Today, we're going to be reviewing all the new builds in Rocklin, California, all the new construction homes going on in Rocklin right now. So if you're thinking about a new build and you're thinking about somewhere around the Rocklin area, we're going to go through all the new construction communities here in this video. And of course, we may have a special guest towards the end to kind of cover the land of all the Rocklin new builds here. So stay tuned. We're going to get into it. Hey everybody, welcome to Sacramento's Real Estate Channel, where we talk everything there is to know about the brand new builds and of course, what there is to do here in Sacramento. If you've been thinking about making a move to the area, subscribe to the channel. And just so you know, we go live every Tuesday at 5:30 p.m. We'll see you there. All right, guys, welcome on in. Today, we're going to be talking about all the new builds in Rocklin, California. So if you're thinking about moving into the area, maybe you already live in the area and just don't really know much about the new construction going on. It's been a hot and exciting topic for a lot of our clients moving into the area about getting a new build, right? There's something about a new home, a brand new home. It just smells right. It feels right. And of course, no one has lived in it. So that's the best part. So today I'm going to be covering some of the top communities that I think are going to be here in Rocklin, or I should say the top communities that stand out to me in Rocklin, California. I've grown up in Rocklin. I know quite a bit about Rocklin. We buy and sell in Rocklin all the time, helping people in real estate. So welcome to the channel. If this is your first time, maybe you haven't seen one of our videos before. We cover all the new build areas throughout the Sacramento region. We have a local brokerage, Golovey Real Estate here in Sacramento. So of course we cover a ton of other communities in the resale market as well. So happy to have you guys on. If you guys are joining me for the first time, go ahead and drop it in the chat if you are here and where you're coming from. If you're coming from out of town or out of state, I'd love to hear from you, see where you guys are joining in. I know we've had quite a few people joining in from the Bay Area, other states such as Washington and thereabouts, and some people in Southern California as well. So if you guys are joining in from out of town, would love to hear from you, see where you guys are coming from. But today we do have an interesting show. I'm going to be kind of covering some new build communities. We're also going to be covering some of the ones that I think are going to be the best bang for your buck. And of course, kind of going through some of the pros and cons of each community. As you may know, or maybe you haven't looked into new builds just yet, but a lot of them may have some sort of HOA in place, or they may even have Mello-Roos or special assessment taxes, which basically makes your tax rate higher overall in order to essentially purchase that home or live in that home. So just keep that in mind. That is kind of one thing that has kind of maybe put some people on the brakes about buying new construction in general. But of course, you kind of pay to play when it comes to new construction builds. When you want to be in a new community, you're kind of getting the amenities and the infrastructure of that surrounding area, which is essentially what your higher tax rate is paying for. At least we think it is, right? So happy to have you guys on. I see a few friends jumping on. It's snowing where I am. Good to see you, Burke, on here. I see Elena jumping on as well. Give me a big shout out. And of course, we got Priscilla as well. So happy to have you guys on. So if you guys have questions throughout the video, let me know. But the first community I kind of want to cover is going to be JMC Homes. So we're going to talk first about Whitney Ranch in particular. If you guys aren't familiar, Whitney Ranch is kind of a newer developed area of Rocklin as a whole. I'll share it here on my screen with you just so you kind of can get an idea. Here we go. So Rocklin as a whole, you can see here, it's kind of right in this corridor, and Whitney Ranch is going to be predominantly this kind of area. As you can see, it's highlighted Whitney here, but predominantly this area, and of course it blends into Lincoln, which I'll cover a little bit as well in this video. So if you're new to the area, so you'll know Whitney Ranch is kind of up here on the outer skirts of Rocklin, and of course you kind of got main Rocklin down here with old Rocklin down here. So just kind of give you a lay of the land there, but one of the main builders that's coming up in this area that's really been kind of taking territory, I guess, is going to be right here, and that's going to be JMC Homes. So as you can see, JMC has 4 different communities going on in Rocklin right now, specifically in this Whitney Ranch sector. So if we were to go out there, if you were to reach out to me and my team and say, hey, I want to take a look at some of the model homes, I'd say, well, why don't we just go ahead and look at all of them? So probably going to tour, 12 to 15 homes here. It might be a heck of a day, but we can help you narrow it down because you have quite a few options here. So the first community that I'd really consider is going to be this one, Edgefield Place at Whitney Ranch. JMC home, you can't really complain about it. One good thing they have going on is, first of all, they have options, different size points, but more than that is a lot of people that are looking to buy in this area are looking for a view, right? A lot of people want to buy in Rocklin, especially newer Rocklin, especially when we're going to the higher price points, let's say pushing that $1 million mark. We want something with the view or something a little bit special. And I think that this area offers that, especially on this kind of side of Whitney Ranch here. You have the rolling hills. You can see the foothills. There's going to be some semi-custom and custom homes around you, around there. And then there's going to be some nature preserve spaces, some trails. It's really beautiful. So a lot of these homes that may have a view, have an, kind of a see-through iron fence that may look over a valley or a little area or a ravine of some sort. So it really is beautiful. And that's really the attraction here in Whitney Ranch. So again, I personally grew up in Rocklin. I actually went to school around here. I'm not going to tell you guys my age because everyone's going to laugh, but I know Rocklin pretty well, and I would say that this is a stellar community. This is a nice area that you really want to be in. Now, one thing with Edgefield at Whitney Ranch, this community that I was just showing you, is that they're going to also have a possible additional dwelling unit. So this is going to be big for a lot of people. I want to mention this at the beginning of the show because a lot of people right now, especially looking at that $1 million mark, especially single-story homes, a lot of people want what they would call an in-law suite, what some builders may call a next-gen suite, but here is just called an ADU, so additional dwelling unit. So if you're looking for that with like a guest suite option where someone in your family could live kind of on their own, giving them that separation or even visit for a short amount of time, I think this might be a good one for you because this offers that. So I'll even show you again here. So you have a detached guest suite, and this is going to be only on select home sites, so just keep that in mind. It's not going to be for every home, but I think this is a really sweet option, and it kind of stands out among the rest, in my opinion, especially when we're looking more at a track builder like this. This is not going to really get you your customized designs that most people would want, but that being said, I mean, you get a lot of bang for your buck if you get that detached guest suite. They do have some quicker moving options, so again, on these ones, the size is going to be probably anywhere from 1,962 square feet all the way up to over 3,184 square feet. So you have some range there from 1,900 to 3,200-ish. 3 to 5 bedroom, 2 to 4 bathrooms, and of course 3-car garages. And on that guest suite, I believe you have a 1-car garage if you end up going with that plan. There's actually some homes starting out here like around $859, $860K up to the $1.1 million mark. So if that's your range, this may be a good option. And again, I'm showing you these 3-4 communities just to kind of show you that there is different price points. So you don't have to get too tied to one or the other, or if one doesn't have availability, you can definitely slide into another. With that being said, now all of these 4 communities, you should keep in mind that they do have the HOA. So now I know a lot of people, it goes 50-50. I've had some people, they want an HOA, other people they don't. But with this one, I do actually like this HOA because you're paying about $80, $85 a month. And what that is covering is giving you access to the Whitney Ranch Clubhouse, okay? The Whitney Ranch Clubhouse, I've showed it on my channel before, living in Rocklin, things of that sort. So you can check out those videos. I'll probably add them in after this video. You're going to see that you're going to have pools there, cabanas, places to hang out. There's a little event center. So it's a really cool place for the community to get together and really hang out, do kind of social hours, and of course, bring the kids to the pool and stuff like that. So it's a big selling point of this community. I do see someone here saying, what does the HOA include? So we're going through that. So for $80, $85 a month, I think it's a deal because some of the other communities that we've reviewed even on this show, like for instance, in Russell Ranch, right outside of Folsom Ranch in Folsom, California, your HOA there is going to be probably about $250 plus a month to get the same amenities. So here I would say it's definitely more bang for your buck. And it's already all developed. It's ready to go. It's a beautiful area. I would say it's a safe area. Definitely. It's family friendly, great schools around there, newer schools. So you're going to get higher education in Rocklin Unified School District, and you don't got to really deal with that too much. So I think as far as HOAs go, even though personally I'm not a fan of HOAs, this one I would say is a pretty good deal for what it is. Now, another community you might want to consider, and I'll just name these off so not to get too much time here because there's a few other builders I want to cover. You got Renfield at Whitney Ranch, which is right there in that corridor. That price point is going to be anywhere from $599,000 to $889,000. So definitely a little bit more affordable. You got 7 floor plans there. Anywhere from 1,400 to about 2,500 square feet, 3 to 4 bedroom, 2 to 4 bath. Also some nice lots with views. So if views is a big thing for you, like it is for me, if I was buying here, I definitely want a lot with the view. Of course, you might be paying a little bit more for that, but just keep in mind that these also on these homes, one really cool thing is, like you typically go into a builder and you're thinking, hey, you know what? This builder is about to make some money on me because they're going to charge me, $60, $100, $150,000 in upgrades. So yeah, I see that price, but it's going to be way higher. Not exactly the case with JMC. On 2 or 3 of these communities, they're going to have designer packages. So what they're going to do is, here's the price for this home on this lot. Pick the designer package if you're early enough. This is included in the price. Solar is also included. So you're saving like 15, 20 grand on solar right there, all included in this price. Like what you get is what you see. I kind of like that. It limits the amount of customization you can do with this home. But at the same time, I've been in a ton of JMC homes. I can't really complain. They do modern, sleek, good style stuff. Unless you're like one of my clients that is very particular about how things are and colors. If you just like a modern, light color scheme, they do a good job. If you want to pick everything, this might not be the community for you. 1 or 2 of them offer that, but they're doing the designer packages to make it more affordable to get into this community, even though you're spending, again, you're looking at $600K up to $1 million here. So that's Renford. Again, you got the HOA, $80 a month. One thing about these communities is that all of them have different Mello-Roos or special assessment taxes, so you might want to keep in mind. So for instance, this Renford one that I'm mentioning, a little bit cheaper. You're looking at $260 a month, whereas the next one, Tribute Point, which we've covered on the channel before, I'll link that model tour if you guys want to see it, Stellar Homes. Those are going to be a little bit higher, around $330 a month for the taxes on the Mello-Roos. So again, they could fluctuate. So if you have a budget in mind, if you really want to work it for your monthly payment, you do have some options here. JMC coming out, 4 different communities. You got the higher end, bigger stuff, pushing over 3,000 square feet. And of course, you got the smaller homes, 1,400 square feet. So the interesting thing about this area, just based on the people that I have reaching out to me, is you have people that are, just wanting to raise their family in a safe place, got a couple kids, want them to be in good schools, want to enjoy the trails, the local parks, which Rocklin has a ton of. But you also have some people that are looking more towards a retirement age, right? They want something nice, safe, walkable as far as like trails and stuff go. But they don't necessarily want maybe the higher HOAs or necessarily some of the rules and restrictions that an active adult 55 and up community may want. So here you could still get a single story home, 1,500 square feet, kind of downsize the family, but still be in a really nice area. So again, that's what I'm seeing. I'm kind of getting a mix of people inquiring about communities like this, but that's also what makes Whitney Ranch like a standout community to live in. And of course, I might be biased. I really like Whitney Ranch. So also we have Whitney Ranch videos on the channel. If you guys are first time watching one of our videos, I've done more in-depth views on Whitney Ranch overall as a whole, the resale market, what's kind of available, what to expect living in Whitney Ranch. So check that out down below, or you can probably even type in Whitney Ranch and find my video. Okay, so let's keep going. We also have Prominence at Whitney Ranch. That one is, again, a JMC community, a little bit higher end. You're going to pay a little bit more there. I would expect those homes to be kind of over that $1 million mark, in the 300s on the Mello-Roos. So again, great area. I do want to jump into another new community that a lot of people have been inquiring about, and I think that this one is a good one. So we got Rocklin Meadows here. So I don't know if you guys have heard of Rocklin Meadows. This is New Home Company. This is a good builder right here. I got Steven hopping on Whitney Ranch. There's a nice ring to it. I do have someone joining in here, so let's see if we can make this work. Hello, Mark, you there? You're on the live show.
How's it going, man? How are you doing?
Doing really well. Let's see if I can get you working here, because the camera is not working with me. Let's see here. So we're talking Rocklin Meadows. I do want to bring you on here. Let's see if this... Hopefully this works. We got Mark on out to the right. I love doing this stuff while we're live, isn't that the best?
This is good. It gives a whole feel of the live show.
Yeah, technical difficulties, brother.
Always have technical.
Let's see here. To the right. Sorry guys, I'm working this thing, and it is not working in my favor right now. So let's see here.
There you are.
Yeah. Is your camera working?
Yeah, it should be.
Let's see here. You're not showing up on my end. I'm going to be honest with you.
Okay.
This worked before, I promise.
All right, let me see if this one will work.
There you go. There you go.
I'm gonna
How you
use
doing,
this
man?
camera. Good,
Huh?
man. How are you doing?
Good. Really
I'm gonna
good.
use this camera.
Yeah, there you go. Sorry for the technical difficulties, guys. So Mark, welcome to the channel. Mark's also a YouTuber, real estate agent here in Rocklin and the surrounding Sacramento area. So today, I just wanted to kind of review some of the communities around here. And we're talking about Rocklin Meadows. And it's a perfect timing that you jumped on because we both shot Rocklin Meadows together a while back by the New Home Company. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. And I just wanted to see, what was your kind of feedback on that community, the feel, the vibe? What's your take on that community as a whole?
I love the community. I'm actually closing one there on what's called Thursday.
Nice. Okay.
I think it's great. I think Meadows. I saw the alpaca farm behind one of the homes, but that piece of land or that house and that was sold. So because it was sold, all of a sudden, like people who had actually bought in that area and bought in that community made an instantly good decision. You know what I mean? That was the biggest thing. If you go into the community where the sales office is, if you look kind of on the right-hand side, you're going to see some tin roofs.
Right.
That was like an alpaca kind of like shed.
Right.
And there were some like animals there. But what ended up happening about a month ago, that whole piece of land was purchased. So
No
now
way.
that it's gone, it blends into that Rocklin area really, really nice. And if you look up the hill, those are all custom homes. It's a great part of Rocklin,
Yeah.
you don't have to really, how, a lot of those new areas, you kind of go into Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome because it's all dirt and everything too.
Yeah.
That area is kind of perfect because you really don't have to deal with too much. It's a small community already in a nice, really established neighborhood in Rocklin. So it's nice. I like it.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And if that land was bought out, like that's going to be stellar because you do kind of have these older properties, speckled in there a little bit. But like you said, there's some custom homes like right there, I think it's Greenbrae Road, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
But the neighborhood landscape just changes dramatically. And this is kind of right on that outskirt right there. So I think location wise, it's pretty stellar. I will say, depending which way you come into the community, it could either be like a wow, or it could be like a, it's okay. Right. Because on one of the streets, I think you kind of pass like some older, smaller homes and like a apartment complex and stuff. It just doesn't have this elevated feel, especially with these kind of really high end, what I would call a luxury market for Rocklin, right? But price point, I mean, you can get in here just under $1 million with upgrades included. I actually just got the price sheet earlier today. Big shout out to our rep over there. So really cool. I mean, would you recommend this one to people looking to get into new build Rocklin specifically?
Well, here's the thing for me, and this is something you and I have actually discussed. The New Home Company's product in Rockland Meadows, in Silvercrest, in Gold Hill, they've stepped it up a notch, right?
Yeah.
I think they're definite players in the luxury market. I think that the Rockland Meadows homes, in my opinion, have some of the best floor plans I've seen, period. So I like it. I also think that what you're gonna see in that area as well, and this is what I've been seeing, is that like the houses that are surrounding in the area that Sam mentioned, that was like, maybe okay. Like I think those houses are gonna be sold relatively soon, and you're gonna see some custom homes built on the land. I think people are gonna tear some stuff down and build some other houses. I already seen it. If you drive down the road, have you noticed it? Like there are some custom built homes on the other side. You know what I mean? And so I think that area is going to be developing out nicely. I think I think it's beautiful. I think the community is awesome. I think that, you always want to buy where you think it's going to develop. I think in Rocklin for that price point, I think it definitely makes sense,
Yeah, definitely. So it's a good one. Again, it doesn't have a ton of new builds around it. So if you're looking for that kind of feel where everything around you is like new construction along with your home, may not be the best fit. Proximity wise, I mean, you're literally right off Rocklin Road exit. So if you're someone who's a commuter, you want to be off Highway 80 and Rocklin Road, which is a pretty good exit to be off. You also just down the street have like Sierra Community College. If your kids are going to be going to college, what else you got around there? I mean, just a few streets over, you got all the big shopping center that they're doing off Sierra
Yeah.
College Boulevard. Tons of shopping there now. When I lived in the area, like, I don't know, 10 years plus ago, Sierra College Boulevard, like there was literally nothing there. I remember the Walmart wasn't even there, if I'm not mistaken, or just getting started to be built. All that shopping that's around there with like Target, Trader Joe's, movie theater, all that stuff like was not there. It was just open land. So it's cool to see how it really developed. Tesla down the street, right? Stuff like that. It's really kind of developing for this side of Rocklin. Now it's interesting because, yeah, I mean, you know this. There's almost like two sides to Rocklin. Like, do you want to be on the Highway 80 side, like the area that we're talking about, or do you want to switch over to Highway 65, like up Whitney Ranch, which I was just
Yeah.
discussing all the new builds in Whitney Ranch. Is there a preference for you personally that you've seen?
I mean, both are awesome spots. I mean, Whitney Ranch, Whitney Oaks, like this area. I mean, it just depends on what's a little bit more of your like your style, right? I think like in Whitney Ranch, especially on the tippy top, everything's kind of new. HOAs are like what, $80.
Mm-hmm.
You got some new
Mm-hmm.
building over there too, but like I said, everything's a little tight over there, I guess you can say. And it feels a little bit more isolated. Like even the drive to get on the freeway is a good maybe like 10 minutes to get down there.
Yeah.
If you're working from home, if you're a little bit more remote, you don't really have to get anywhere quick. I think Whitney Ranch is pretty sweet. I mean, resort style vibe.
Yep.
I think that for the other one, if you want to get a little bit more of an area where you don't have to deal with like nails on the ground and like pebbles hitting your windshield, I think Rockland Meadows is a good spot. I like the
Mhm.
idea of like you know, jumping into a little small boutique kind of community that's like being settled in between in a nice area that the price per square footage is high. So
Yeah.
I like the Rockland Meadows area. You know what I mean? I'm not as much as like the new homes things I love. I just don't like the idea. Like for example, if I'm living in Folsom Ranch, the idea that by even 2030 we might not have it completed, that doesn't make me feel too happy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I just pulled up some Rockland Meadows pricing too, just to give people an idea. There's some quick moving stuff like 2,500 square feet, just under $1 million for March, April. They just cut the price a little bit, and it's including all these upgrades
Yep.
with solar for just 999, right? Just 999. But just to
No,
give
no, no.
people kind of like an idea, context of what they can get here. And guys, if you want to see the model tour on this home, I know they didn't have a bunch of models up, but Mark and I both did a model tour. So if that's interesting to you, I mean, the model they have up is just gorgeous. I really like
Yep.
that home tour. But it really, I mean, I think the Rockland, New Home Company as a whole does have a good product. And as you mentioned, they've done some pretty good, notable communities already around the general Sacramento area. So at least you can get a better idea of, hey, this is what they've built so far and this is what they're selling. I think they do a good job at it, right?
No, 100%.
Yeah. I know I mentioned already, I went through the JMC homes earlier. There's a few communities out there. Now we went through Rockland Meadows. There is going to be coming up a new community. And I know we kind of talked about this briefly earlier today, but Tim Lewis is actually coming out with a new community called Crown Point by Tim Lewis Homes. I know you've dealt with Tim Lewis a little bit. I have as well. I know they had the summit in Rockland. This community, I personally have not went out to yet, so I'm not sure at the stage. I just wanted to bring up kind of because I know a lot of people, if they're going to be looking in Rockland, this I think would be a good consideration. And again, it's on that Highway 80 side, not too far from actually Rockland Meadows, just a short drive from there. What do you think about Tim Lewis as a builder in general?
I think they're a pretty solid builder. I mean, they were one of the quote unquote luxury builders in our market for a while. I think they have good homes. I think this is actually another stage of a development that they were building out prior. Because I was talking to a
Yeah,
couple of the salespeople,
right.
and they said that like this community like was one of their hottest. The stage one of this community was one of their hottest sellers like ever. People are
Wow.
still asking about this community. So I think this
Wow.
community is going to be pretty crazy. Like
Yeah.
I've been hearing like great floor plans, great area, nature preserve. Like I've heard
Right.
really good things about this community.
Yeah.
And this community, in my opinion, might even over whatever the one in Grand Bay, just because a lot of people love this stuff. So I don't know. I think, like I said, New Home Company, I mean, Tim Lewis has always been one of those names where in the Sacramento area, you're like, oh, Tim Lewis. Ooh,
Right,
okay.
right. Yeah. My parents
You
actually
know?
had a Tim Lewis back in the day, so in Rocklin. So I know what it's like, but I would say they do a good product. I mean, there's no perfect builder, right? But I would say
No.
they do a good product. Even looking at the Summit, I really like the product they had in Whitney Ranch, which was great. We had a lot of interest about that one, but they were limited, right? They just started selling, and I think they're near closeout. Might only have like one home there left if they haven't closed it yet. So I think this coming to the community is going to be really interesting for a lot of people that are maybe Tim Lewis fans. You did briefly mention that there's going to be one in Granite Bay, actually not far from here. So if people are some Granite Bay fans in here on this video, so Magnolia is going to be a community by Tim Lewis. I think those homes are supposed to be pushing like much bigger lots. I think they were advertising like pushing an acre, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if they're going to be quite there. But those are also going to be luxury homes. I reviewed those on moving to Granite Bay. Have you seen those at all? Drove past those at all?
I drove by the lots. I mean, I think
Yeah.
it's nice. The only thing is, though, if you look at the price point, especially with Tim Lewis, they tend to be, their finishes tend to be very expensive. So you'd be pushing over probably 2 million on a lot of these homes,
Yeah.
and they're going to be semi-custom. So I mean, I think they're nice. I think they're going to do. I think Grant Bay is a spot that people tend to see this style of home that Tim Lewis is building.
Yeah.
I know like Premier Homes is building there, Blue Mountain was building there, and like what was the other one? New Home Company was building there. But like what Tim Lewis is building out there is somewhat kind of like what people are used to seeing in Grant Bay. So I think you're going to probably see it do pretty well. Depending on the pricing though, I'd say the twos it's still a little pushing it, but it'll be interesting to see how it does.
Hmm.
The floor plans look phenomenal though, like 5 garages and all that stuff. So not bad.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this one. And again, if the models become open, if they're going to do models on this one, we'll definitely bring it to the channel. And if you guys want more info on this one, we already kind of reached out to him today, so we'll get updated pricing. So if you want to kind of get into that funnel, we send out some new releases every time a new community comes into the area. So reach out to us down below if there's any way that we can help you out. Now, being said, really quickly, when we're talking about Granite Bay and Rocklin, now, do you think, for people moving in from out of town, we get a lot of people inquiring from the Bay Area and such. Do you think that there is a major drastic difference between Granite Bay and Rocklin? Is there one that has a advantage over the other? Any feedback on that?
I don't know. What do you think? What's your
Uh,
opinion on it?
well, when I think of Granite Bay, it definitely has a little bit more of a luxury brand, I would say. When I automatically think of Granite Bay, I'm like, to get into Granite Bay, I gotta expect to pay at least like, I know there's older homes and stuff like that, but I'm talking about like average price points. When you think about Granite Bay, I'm always thinking like 1.5 million and up, really, to get into Granite Bay. Rocklin, I think you have a lot more variability there. Rocklin's really stepped up their game on the luxury market. There's still homes pushing that $2 million mark, right? Skyline by Toll Brothers was in there. I think they have a few homes left, if I'm not mistaken, but they were pushing that $2 million mark, if not over, on their model homes. So there have been a few luxury communities. There's, Whitney Oaks, beautiful custom neighborhoods, beautiful homes on the golf course. I mean, just exquisite. So Rocklin still offers that luxury market, but I just think when people don't know the area as much, they're like, well, I think Granite Bay is a little bit more luxe as far as branding goes. But I think that you can get good options. Like if you want to be on a golf course, both can offer that. If you want to have views, both can offer that. If you want some nature preserve behind your backyard or whatnot, something a little bit different, both can offer that, right?
I think here's my thought on both. Like I think Granite Bay are estate homes, right? In Granite Bay, they have big homes. If you want something 6,000 square feet, the guest house, the pool, they build big in Granite Bay.
Yeah.
I think Rocklin's a little bit more like the average square foot house is probably like around maybe 3,000, where Grant Bay areas like Los Lagos, like Shelbourne, you're looking at houses that are like 6,000 square feet,
Yeah.
7,000 square feet. I've even saw one that was like 10,000 square feet. So I think that like in Granite Bay, people are used to more seeing like estate type homes there,
Yeah.
and in Rockland, I think Rockland, there's a little bit of a combination that you're not going to, you might see some on like, Whitney Oaks on Country Club, you know what I mean?
Right.
But like, you're not going to see that the amount of them as in Grand Bay. I mean, you go to Los
Yeah.
Lagos, every house there is like, 4, 5,
Right.
6,000 square feet on
Yeah.
these big pieces of land that have no neighbors on this, have a lot of space on the side, a
Yeah.
lot in the front. And the other thing too, in Grand Bay, what you're going to notice as well too, is like a lot of the houses, and what I mean by estate houses is the idea that like, when you're driving into the driveway, there's a lot of front landscaping. You drive into these houses, right? So some even have gates that you open, you drive in, like, like kind of just estate homes. And I think
Yeah.
Rockland's a little bit more subdued, I guess you can call it. I think the houses there, I'm not saying all of them, because I know there's some pretty epic houses in Rockland,
Oh
but
yeah.
you're going to see more regular kind of like your standard kind of homes in Rockland, where in Grant Bay, like, like Grant Bay's like Los Lagos is where Eddie Murphy lived. Do you know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
and I think he had like an 8,000 square foot house there. You're going to
Yeah.
see some of the houses like, like for example, Sam, if you see something that comes on the market that's 11,000 square feet and someone's like, where do you think this is? Where do you think
Yeah.
it is?
Yeah. Granite Bay.
And
I would say parts of Loomis too, like that border, that area that I think we're referring to. Really, really beautiful area. I don't think you could go wrong there. Also, quick shout out to my buddy, real estate agent Wes from Santa Barbara, saying congrats, bro. Thank you very much. He's referring to the ring that I recently purchased and let go of. So, yeah, big week last week. Big week last week, but it's good. Those of you who don't know, I got engaged last week, so it's pretty good stuff. So, but anyways, so grateful to have you on here, Wes. Wes is actually an awesome realtor out in the Santa Barbara area. I think he started up a YouTube channel as well. So if you guys are looking for economic outlook on Santa Barbara, you should definitely hit him up or check out his channel. Now, I do want to mention a few other communities. I kind of briefly mentioned Skyline by Toll Brothers. I know that was a hot community that a lot of people, when they're referring to Rockland, Toll Brothers, that brand name, actually might be having one into contract this week, which would be great. But what do you think about Skyline? What was your impression of that as far as like location? Most of their homes were like that 1.5, 1.6, 1.8 price point on the millions. Was it worth it in that area?
I thought Skyline was great. I mean, the only thing that would be a little like, if you drive up the hill, the houses, I think going up there probably like are in the 7 and 8s and 9s, you know what I mean? So going up
Mm-hmm.
there, then, but I liked it. I think Skyline is great. I think you got
Yeah.
views. I think you got privacy. The only thing that really kind of confused me about Skyline was the fact that there wasn't like a gate. That kind
Right.
of threw me off a little bit. So I
Like
was
it
just thinking to
deserves
myself, I'm like,
one, especially with how secluded that neighborhood. I mean, it would be so easy to gate that area. There's only
oh
one in
yeah.
and out, right?
So for me, that was kind of like one of those
Yeah.
things. I was like, well, there's no gate, but there was a
Yeah.
gate down in Oakcrest, but
Yeah.
not at Skyline. So that
Well,
kind of confused me a little. I was like,
yeah.
so yeah, that
Well,
was the only thing. But
there's definitely a few people that live there that watch our channel, and so if you guys live there, let us know what you think about the gate. Are you guys getting one or not? Should you get one? That'd be very interesting. So, and back to in reference to some of these other communities. Now, Rockland, I'll be honest, doesn't really have a ton of new construction like we've seen in Folsom Ranch, Anatolia, Elk Grove, Roseville, all these different parts. Like, I don't think Rockland really blew up in new construction like some of these other communities did. Are you seeing Rockland maybe get more new homes in the future, or do you think we're kind of like running out of real estate land here to do so?
I think you're running out of real estate, like land in Rockland. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd say like Rockland had its heyday when Whitney Ranch was just first starting, and you had like New Home Company had 2 communities. You had JMC that had like 2 communities there to start. I know they have more right now, but you had like Richmond American, you had like, what was it, Tim Lewis, Toll
Yeah.
Brothers was starting out. I mean, they had their thing going. They've been building there for a while. So that was our last big like heyday. And then you had, what was it called, on like Rocklin, kind of down by the freeway. They had like what's called Black Pines. They had Tri
Hmm.
Point. They had Richmond American as well building there. So I mean, right now they're kind of winding down on the land. I think
Yeah.
what you're going to see is a lot of the builders are going to Folsom, or are probably going to segue over to Lincoln a little bit more. So I think that's where a lot of our land is right now. You got Toll
Yeah.
Brothers building in Hidden Ridge, El Dorado Hills. Then their new one's going to be opening up in Folsom.
Yep.
So I think people are kind of segueing over that way too. I think in Rockland, it's not that it's not an awesome place to build and live. It's just like you said, there's not a whole lot of land right now.
Yeah, and I think that you kind of tacked it really quickly. Is like, if I was considering Rockland, Whitney Ranch, and maybe I'm not finding the home that I want, or let's say that there's just availability is not there, I think Lincoln is a great second choice. 12 Bridges specifically in
Yeah.
Lincoln. I mean, you got, if you want to go custom, you got Cata Verdera, right? Some gated communities around there, a golf course, like the high end, the fields, the views, the ponds, beautiful, like nature-esque area with nature preserves and all that stuff. And then you have a lot of new construction developments like Taylor Morrison, Saratoga, I think it is, where you can get a home with a view and still be like 800K, and get a home. I've sold a few up there. So they had some really good options. Now we're even starting to see some resale on some of those new builds that closed maybe 2-3 years ago. Some people have actually decided to sell them, fairly
Yep.
new homes, and they're deciding to sell them, so they're on the market. So I think you could do really well there. And of course, you get the rolling hills, the foothills. It's just gorgeous. Lincoln, but it's literally, if you think about it, it's just a step over from Whitney Ranch here. So I think that could be a good secondary option for people. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, I think it makes sense. I think Lincoln just got a new high school.
Yep.
You know, I
Yeah, they
think
did.
I think my favorite spot there is Saratoga, Taylor Morrison, that community,
Yeah.
just because
Yeah.
it's, Woodside was selling homes for like 1 million, or they ended up
Yep.
selling them for like 1 million plus, even the
Hmm.
small ones.
Yeah.
Catavadera's got custom homes, gorgeous area too. I like the spot. I think that that's still the hot buy up there. I think they've got a few models left to
Yeah.
sell up there too. So yeah, I like it. I like 12 Bridges. I like Lincoln. I think it's growing. I think it's developing. So yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of Lincoln. I think Lincoln's going to be exploding even more than it has. And I think that, you're going to see a lot of infrastructure. Lincoln's got some great land for that as well too. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm excited for Lincoln. I think Lincoln's like the next frontier. Folsom right now is getting, there's a lot of building happening in Folsom, but I think Lincoln is just going to keep going and going and going and going. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's gonna be fun to watch.
I think so too, especially in that area. I mean, I've had multiple, and people reach out. We've had clients that were either focused really on Roseville or Rockland or even other areas. I've had people dead set on buying in Folsom. I took them over to Lincoln. They end up buying a home with a gorgeous view, getting a way better deal, and just loving it. So you just really never know till you get out here and get the feel, especially on this part of Lincoln. I think a lot of people, they look at Lincoln on a map, they're like, oh, it's like way up there. It's kind of like this loner town. But actually, when you drive in it and you get into it, I have a lot of friends living there. They love it. There's a smaller sense of community there, but still some really nice, newer homes and some, kind of one of a kind homes there.
Yeah.
I do have a question here that came up. Michael, thank you for joining. He wrote, what about all of those floods now? What do you think? Do you see Lincoln flooding, or have you heard of Lincoln flooding lately?
Nah, I was just there. I didn't see too much. The area though, I'd say like that like Natoma's flood insurance. There's some stuff going on there, because, but not a whole lot. I mean, honestly, like the amount of rain that we've taken in Sacramento, it really hasn't really affected. We're like, and I drive everywhere. Like today, man, I was in like Folsom, then I was in Antolia, then I was Roseville, then I was Rocklin, then I was back to Roseville. So for me, I go everywhere. And today it was brutal. The rain was out there. It was
Oh
it was
yeah.
crazy, but
I
yeah,
drove I drove to Vacaville to close a house today, and it was just dumping rain the whole drive
Mm.
there. Big shout out to my clients, Nolan and Moore, super excited on their new house. But yeah, I mean, we've gotten a ton of rain. It's been kind of interesting because I don't remember this, early this spring just getting so much rain
Yeah.
consistently and so heavy. But I would say for Lincoln, I haven't noticed any flooding. Maybe on the backside, the more rural parts of Lincoln, which is a whole different thing, because there is a more rural side to Lincoln, back roads and things like that, where there's some like kind of farmland, rural land, where I know some people that live out there. Some of those roads probably got flooded, and if you go a little bit north of there, you got like Wheatland and areas like that the back roads do get flooded. But what the area we're talking about, this is like newer part of Lincoln. I personally haven't seen any issues. If you guys have, go ahead and comment down below. Love to hear from you. But like Rocklin, Lincoln, haven't seen too much flooding, especially in the newer areas. I mean, you got good drainage. Most of the homes also have French drains around. So if it was to ever overfill with water, something like that, I mean, it's getting kicked right out to the street, all the water lines and stuff like that. So I have seen some older parts of Sacramento flooded, or at least videos of people like, oh, look at this part. But it's older parts of Sacramento that maybe didn't prepare for water drainage as much as they do
Yeah.
now, especially with these newer communities, right? So haven't seen many issues there. Now, really quickly, so we kind of discovered, some of the new builds, this and that. Before we kind of end it off, let's say someone, we saw some of the new build options. And of course, you guys can reach out whether to me and my team down below or even to Mark. He knows a lot of the new homes around the area if that's something you're looking for. But I also want to tell people like, hey, maybe new build's not an option for them. Maybe the higher Melrose taxes, stuff like that is just not a fit, or the time frame doesn't work. Are you seeing more inventory, more homes come to the market on the resale market, used homes at all? What are you seeing there?
I had a conversation with someone last night and I said, hey, look, let's sell your house in this crazy market. Let's get you out of your 2.5% interest rate that you just bought your house at and let's sell it. They started laughing at me. Now, our inventory is going to be light as the interest rates are going to be up there, and you're going to run into a bunch of people who either did the upgrade move to their forever home,
Yeah.
or just basically said, look, man, I locked in a 2.75, or and right now rates are high. Even if I made money on my house, if I'm jumping into the same market, it just doesn't make sense. And it doesn't. A lot of people I know who even might be tempted by a bigger house or saying right now at this moment, I got a great interest rate. We're supposedly in or heading to a recession right now. Am I really going to do this crazy move where I'm going to basically like triple the interest rate I got like a year ago? I think inventory is going to be the biggest issue in our market, in the resale market. You're just not most. And it's funny right now with realtors, there's like a whole thing. It's like everyone's like, it's usually right now, the houses that are being sold on the market are life events. You're talking deaths, divorce,
The
or,
D's.
people are like, there's big life events happening. And if you ask
Mm-hmm.
anyone if you go to these open houses and say, why are the clients selling the house? It's usually now a life event. There's something that's going on. Maybe someone's moving for a job or something like this. And what you normally see in a more like market where there's stuff being thrown on the market, people are like, no, they're just looking for a bigger house, or like, or they're
Yeah.
doing this, or they just wanted to switch areas. But you're not seeing a lot of those houses hit the market. It's more like big life events that are triggering a house being sold.
Mm-hmm.
When that happens, that it's just not a good thing for inventory on our market. So
Yeah.
I don't see a whole lot of inventory being there until interest rates get
Yeah.
to a level where maybe high fours, low fives, where like all of a sudden buyer demand is going crazy. Prices are going up. Sellers are thinking to themselves, man, I could totally cash in on my house. Let's put it on the market. Let's maybe move somewhere. But as interest rates stay above 6, I don't see inventory hitting the market,
Yeah. And it's like the good homes, priced right, good location, good condition, they're going like this. I've already been writing offers on multiple homes over the last week or two, and it seems like every good home is back into that multiple offer situation. Now, granted, it's not for every single home. There's still some, homes that kind of lag to sell, but the ones that are really in demand, like people see themselves there raising their family, and it's kind of they don't have to do too much work to it, and it's not overpriced. I'm seeing them, most price points still multiple offer situations going. So I think In regards to new builds will still be pretty hot, I think. And I've also
Oh
just been
yeah.
talking to a few reps, different communities, and they're saying, wow, man, Sam, since like February, we've had just such an increase in just activity, like people walking in the door, walking the models, inquiring, calls, everything just kind of picked up in February. And I've said on the channel before, I mean, we had a busy February as well. Things kind of started picking up, and it seems like it's kind of continuing the pace right now. We don't know how long and how hot it'll be, but as far as right now, it's definitely picked up quite a bit.
I think the new homes are popular. They're going to keep going to be popular. I mean, like they're just a thing. And in Folsom, I know we're talking Rocklin, but when Beezer launches their community in Folsom, it's
Yeah,
going to even be hotter over there. Then they're going to
yeah,
launch Toll Brothers community over there. So I just think that that's where a lot of people are going to go. And the builders have kept up with good incentives. Like what I went to, like I was in Anatolia and Woodside Homes over Magnolia. They were like, hey, look, we'll give you 4%. What was it? 4% of the purchase price towards whatever you want, closing costs, upgrades, or whatever. And I'm like, or buying down your rate. I mean, who can compete with that in the resale market when like you
yeah,
mentioned, the houses in the resale market are going like crazy. Can you
yeah.
imagine submitting an offer to a resale house and say, hey, my client will take the house, but you got to buy down their rate?
Right,
Like,
right,
eh. So
right,
yeah.
right. Yeah,
So
some not as much, but the ones, there's specific ones that do have much better incentives, like you said, with the closing costs, down payment, buying down interest rate, stuff like that. 100%. Builders are, especially if they're really trying to sell and aggressive, they're being active. They're adjusting pricing to kind of attract people in. So good to see that too. For our clients that are really considering new builds, they're getting a lot more help on these new builds, right? Because you're technically paying a premium for the area to be there. So it's nice to see that on some of these homes.
well, the other thing too is like I know Sam and I usually talk about new builds and all this kind of stuff too. Personally, like for us, resale homes, new builds, I mean, it's all the kind of the same thing to us. So when we tell you about how it's going in one direction, it's not because we want it to go that way. It's just because like that's the kind of the climate we're in right now, and what we're seeing is what we're like experiencing with our clients. Like I talked to Sam, what was it the other day, and I was like, what kind of calls are you getting? And you're like, man, it's all the new builds. It's like my new build videos I've been doing. I've just been getting called. It's
Mm-hmm.
just, it's the climate. In fact, probably the show you do, Sam, is a little bit more of the weather report of what's going on in Sacramento. It's like, this is it, man. This is my week. This is
Yeah.
what I'm seeing. And this is what I'm telling you guys. So,
Call me the weatherman. I like that.
I like it.
Yeah. So, okay. Any as far as Rocklin goes, just to kind of let's say a home did pop up. How much budget do I need in order to buy a home in Rocklin? I would like low price point and then upper price point, just to kind of give people an idea.
I'd say Whitney Ranch, probably like for a 3 and 2, maybe 750 ish.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say maybe for like a 4 and 2, maybe we're talking like 900 ish, maybe around there, depending on like the bells and whistles. I would say maybe on the base of Rockland, the kind of like the foothill area, maybe like 750 ish, maybe, for an older home. I would say custom in Rockland, like somewhere like Country Club in Whitney Oaks. I mean, sky's the limit.
Yeah.
I'd say Rockland is pretty competitive with Folsom. I'd say with price point,
Mm-hmm.
I'd say Rockland might tend to have a little bit more inventory than Folsom, but you're probably gonna be paying about the same. I mean, like I said, like if you live and you work and you breathe on the 80, Rockland's probably your spot. If you
Mm-hmm.
live and you work and you breathe on the 50, Folsom's going to be pretty much kind of like
Two.
the
Yeah.
doppelganger
Two
kind of
types of
spot
people in this
for.
world, right? Highway 50 people and Highway 80 people.
I just traversed between the 80 and the 50 today in rain, man. I wouldn't
Oh
wish that
man,
on
it's
it.
rough. It's rough.
And we,
But okay, so people starting price point, you're gonna be like 750. I mean, I have seen prices lower than that, like on older Rockland homes or smaller homes. You could still get in probably in the sixes, sometimes a little bit under that on like older Rockland homes. But yeah, I would agree on like the newer Whitney Ranch stuff, probably about 750 and up. And again, luxury market. I mean, you're looking at what we looked at there earlier today, like in JMC, you can get something just under a million, maybe 800, 900,000 and up into the low $1 million mark. You could still get something very nice. And of course, you start going custom, view bells and whistles, yep, into the 1.5 and up $1 million mark as far as what I'm seeing. So
guys, can I just say one thing?
Go for it.
If you guys are looking for a Rocklin home under $600,000, call Sam Golovey.
And if you're looking for $1 million and up, still call Sam Golovey.
Oh man, he'll give you the one house in Rocklin that's selling for under $600,000.
I've seen it. Trust me, I've seen it. So, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video.
Well, we got
today.
one more question.
Huh?
From Michael, which company would be a great investment or rent to buy dividends and growth in the stock market? In this morning data shows 7 months decline.
So he's looking like or a REIT to buy. I don't really invest in REITs personally. I think that you should definitely look into that. But as far as me, I don't really have any recommendations for REITs currently. I know a lot of people are getting into them to kind of get some sort of ownership in the real estate market. But I personally do not invest in those. So again, this channel is not financial advice.
I know.
We have to do that.
No,
we're under the entertainment section of YouTube.
Sam's show and my show is a little bit more about like the talking about what we see. That's it, man. And it's raining in Sacramento. But I will say something also, and this is something that Sam knows a lot about. I've been doing a lot of videos about that 20% California Dream for All program.
Yeah.
It does work for new homes. And we were talking a little bit about that offline. So if you guys are looking for a new home, standing inventory, talk to Sam and he'll give you a little bit of the details on how that California Dream for All program can work in the new home communities as well too. So it's all good.
I like that. That was a good outro. So guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. Remember to smash that like button. Give us a comment down below. What did you like? What didn't you like? The negative news still helps us out on the algorithm, so we appreciate you. And big shout out to my friend Mark for being on the channel today. Go check him out. Sacramento Real Estate. You can find him right there. Mark, thanks for being on today. It's been a lot of fun.
No problem, man. And hey, guys, if you guys have any suggestions on what to get Sam for his engagement present, put it down in the comments. Put it down there.
Cash would be nice. See you guys next week. Have a good one.